morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Craig Carton Show. I'm Tyrone Johnson in for Craig. I want to congratulate his son, Lucky, for graduating college. That is where Craig is now. He'll be back tomorrow. A lot to get to in the sports world today. Excited to be with you for this next hour. But we have to start with something that is from I don't know any other word to say it, but from a violent thug. So Friday night, I'm sitting at home, and at this point, the Cavs had already won Game 6, so I'm sitting there watching a reality show, watching the Valley. Shout out to my buddy Tom Schwartz. And I get a text message about, let's look with a screenshot of a tweet after I had a sports take. And it's from Dave Portnoy, a guy I don't follow, but don't overstep. I know that Barstool has millions of followers, but I don't follow Dave Portnoy. So someone had to send me this. It says, tough loss, but she is the league. She's referring to Caitlin Clark. So I figured out, okay, that's why he's mad. Fine. Tough loss, but she's the league. That don't have nothing to do with anything. That's normal sports conversation. The guy who called her Jeremy Lin, now that's me. Now at this point, you don't have to say it by name, but between here and other places, it has now had literally millions of views. In fact, some shows have done whole shows on my 3-minute take on Caitlin Clark. So I recognize that there are going to be some people that like it and some people don't like it, and that's normal sports conversation. Hell, there's also going to be a lot of people out there that don't like me. Again, totally normal, because I likely don't like you either. But then he goes, as you can see on the screen, the guy who called her Jeremy Lin should have his tongue cut out. And that's where it's not normal, from Dave Portnoy. Now, Dave Portnoy is a leader for millions of you out there, and I'm going to say this out loud right now. That dude's clearly a maniac. He's clearly a maniac with a problem. This is where we are in 2026 when we talk about sports. Now, again, I don't care if it's me or anybody else. If you disagree with a sports take, you have a bunch of options, a bunch of normal human options. You could disagree with the take. You could ignore the person. You could block the person. You could ignore. You could do a million different things. But what you can't do is suggest, when you have millions of followers and you're ahead of a company and you lead people, that they should cut my tongue out. And here's why. Number one, he's not tough enough to do it. He's a joke, and I'll say this very comfortably right now out loud. Dave Portnoy is a bitch. But there might be one guy in the millions who's actually as crazy as his dumb ass is. So now you're telling them that they should cut my tongue out. Okay, let's say we go with that. But the other part, Dave, if you're going to say that, then you realize that's the new rules of engagement now. So what happens? Because, again, I know all about Barstool. I want to make this clear. But I didn't follow Dave Portnoy. I don't follow Dave Portnoy because, honestly, I didn't think Dave Portnoy was that interesting. Okay? Him. Now, Barstool has a ton of talented people that work for them. They have good shows and stuff. But he's the leader. I don't follow him. He's not that interesting. By the way, it is so hot in this studio. It's hotter than where Dave Portnoy is going to go later because it's hotter than hell in this studio. It's north of 80 degrees in the studio. It's over 90 degrees in New York City, etc. But the overall point is simple. You can't have a violent thug in charge of people. And there needs to be repercussions. And under that ridiculous statement in which he's not tough enough to do, you've cried on the internet, because then I had to figure out what's Dave Portnoy about. You cry on the internet constantly. You were crying because somebody threw pennies at you. Oh my God, they threw pennies. And now you're Mr. Tough Guy. What are you? You're a fake mob boss? Like, that's lunatic stuff. You're a maniac. And the people, I'm going to say this out loud, every single one of you that follow him, all of you that think that statement was somehow okay because of a Caitlin Clark sports take, you're crazy too. And I don't care whether you like me or anybody else. And I don't care. That applies to everybody in the world and not just me. If someone says something about sports that isn't personal, that doesn't attack a person's character, or hell, even if it does, are we all going to be comfortable where we're now telling people out loud that we should cut their tongue out? Especially from a guy who, again, is a bitch and wouldn't do it if he was here. You see, everything I say online, I have a rule. This is how I was raised. He was raised differently. He was raised more poorly. I was raised that everything I say in a microphone, I have to be willing to say to the person's face. Therefore, Jaylen Brown, for example, I said something strong about that. If he was here, I would absolutely tell Jaylen Brown, I hope you never win again for the rest of your life when it comes to the Celtics. I want Jaylen Brown, whatever team he plays for, to lose forever. And I feel very comfortable telling that. But notice how that's not violent. Then underneath the post, again, his disciples, very strange people, decided to discuss it like it was a sports point. That's not a sports point. At that point, the merit of the sports point or lack of merit in the sports point no longer matters because some idiot is now raising the stakes to a point that he's not comfortable with. He's not built for this, okay? What happens now? He doesn't know me, by the way. I don't know him. I don't follow him. He doesn't follow me. So to do that, that means at some point, because I work in New York City, I'm going to run into him. Is he okay if I was to follow up with the same energy that he had? You know he's not built for it. And this is where we have to draw a line, okay? I don't care again. I talk about sports. I try to have fun. And honestly, I never think about, well, will this person like me? Will this person not like me? Because that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The only thing that actually matters is, are we having entertaining content to talk about? Okay? And then does that content go over some personal line where it becomes out of bounds? Okay? Now, saying that you think Paige Beckers is a better basketball player than Caitlin Clark, which I do, and saying that you believe the future of the sport isn't with one damn player, also true, is not a problem. The problem is, can you put the tweet on the screen one more time, please, if you guys don't mind? To say the guy who called her Jeremy Lin should have his tongue cut out is clearly over the line, especially, again, when you're a bitch. You're not built to talk like that. What do you think you are, some fake mob boss? You're not built for it. So this is what I'm going to assume, though, that yes, he's a maniac, or he needs some help with alcohol. Because I'm thinking about it. It's Friday night. He's sitting at home. By the way, in that game in which he decided I should get my tongue cut out, she shot 10 for 28 and they lost. 10 for 28 and they lost. 10 for 28 and they lost. So that wasn't even the right time. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Dave, and give you an opportunity to apologize. You drank too much that night. You had too much to drink and you said something stupid and you regret it. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because otherwise you're a maniac and you need help either way. But I'm going to ask you, as a friend, because clearly the people around you aren't your friends because they allow you to talk like that and get away with it. I'm going to be your friend, one you clearly badly need. Get some help. Either get your emotions under control and know how to act, especially when you're talking to another grown man you don't know, or get help for your alcoholism. One or the other. And that's giving you every benefit of the doubt. So you're welcome. Also, that take about Caitlin Clark as far as being a hot take, that came out of the freezer for me. I'm just going to tell you, that one's fresh out the freezer. I have takes as hot as this studio. I have takes as hot as where you're going to go talking like that. Trust me. Okay? So again, I'm sorry to start the show like this. I don't like to start shows like this. I like to just talk about sports, okay? And for the rest of the show, I promise that fraud won't come up, that maniac, that problematic, whatever he is not going to come up anymore today. The rest of the show, we'll just talk about sports. But somebody around him, get him help. And let's not pretend, each and every one of you that look up to him like that's normal sports conversation, because it's not. And if we get to the point where that's normal sports conversation, then some people's safety is going to be in jeopardy. And I am telling you, if it's Dave Portnoy or me, it's not my safety that's in jeopardy. So let's not do that, okay? Because I am not a tough guy. I am a mild-mannered suburban guy, just happy to be working in New York City. But I will tell you this right now. Threaten me again. Threaten me again. All right. Coming up on the other side, we'll talk about sports. We'll have a great day the rest of the day. Knicks versus Cavs, a lot of NBA to get to, all here on the Craig Carton Show. Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson in for Craig Carton. He'll be back tomorrow. Congratulations to his son, Lucky, for graduating college. He'll be moving on to grad school next, and I have Craig explain all of that on the air. But congratulations to him. And, well, we had a Game 7 last night that was super anticlimactic, and it really puts me in a real bind as a certified Knicks hater, because now we have Cavaliers versus Knicks, with the Knicks having home court in the Garden. Here's the schedule for the Eastern Conference Finals. You see games 1 and 2 there in New York before it ships back to Cleveland. Later on in the week, we should likely have someone from the Cavs to talk about the squad, because they've been almost under the radar. James Harden did all he could to blow it, but they make it through. They beat the Pistons, and now you have Knicks versus Cavaliers for a chance to go back to the NBA Finals. And you're talking about a team of the Cavs that have not been there since 2018 with LeBron, and as far as that, and then you also have the Knicks haven't been there in quite a while as well. Big series, and here's where I'm in a tough spot. Now, I've been on the record to say that the Knicks are not that good, and I truly believe that, okay? Yes, they've looked great, but they got a lot of rust, I feel, at this point. And maybe there's even a chance for them to be maybe sleepwalking through Game 1 tomorrow. We'll talk about the West, and they play later on tonight, a little later on in the show. But I'm in a tough spot because Cleveland has something that I believe can't win, okay? Certain things, certain elements happen with teams, and you go, you know what? You can't win with that. You saw it last night. Tobias Harris, I'll say it out loud, I'll say it forever. No team, if he actually plays. Now, if he's on the bench, like Robert Parrish style late with the Bulls, the Jordan Bulls, where he was just like the 12th man, just there for experience as a practice guy, being a professional. You can win with Tobias Harris like that, but Tobias Harris will never win, okay, because he's Tobias Harris. Well, the Cavs have James Harden, and I know you're saying, what are you talking about? James Harden's a Hall of Famer. If it wasn't for James Harden, I fully feel like I would be picking the Cavs maybe in 6 games to beat the Knicks. But they have James Harden, and the Knicks don't. And that is a gigantic advantage for the New York Knicks. So I do not want the Knicks to win. I am a Knicks hater from way back, okay? From way back, okay? Like 2 weeks ago when they beat the Sixers. I'm a Knicks hater, okay? I don't like the Knicks. But I'm in a tough spot. Now, I'm rooting for the Cavs, but I'm in a really tough spot. And I just have to be honest, since I never lied to the audience. If I hate it. Okay. If you're a Knicks fan, I should say, you should feel pretty good going into this series. You should feel pretty good going into the series because of the James Harden thing. Ethan is a Knicks fan. He feels really good about it. I'm sitting there looking at it. In Game 1 tomorrow, they're 6.5-point favorites. They likely should be 6.5-point favorites. Now, there is one thing, though, the Knicks should be concerned about when I look into the series, because a lot of times basketball is simple. You have all these analytics, and you have all these shows that talk about basketball for hours on end, and I'm not saying that those shows don't have tremendous merit. As long as one guy's not on them, they have tremendous merit. But sometimes it's about, is my best player better than your best player? And we'll get to that as well when we talk about the West. Right now, the Knicks' best player, because he plays the whole game, is Jalen Brunson. Okay, he's their best player. I'm not exactly speaking anything that anybody doesn't already know. The Cavs' best player is Donovan Mitchell. So supporting cast will have their say. But at the end of the day, it's going to be, who's a better player night to night in this series? Do you believe in Donovan Mitchell, or do you believe in Jalen Brunson? And I don't want to oversimplify, but I think a lot of times you're going to see with Jared and Cat. And the thing about Cat is, while Cat might play great, if you're a Knicks fan right now, there's no way in hell you don't think he's going to have foul trouble. If this goes 7 games, he's going to have foul trouble, at least 3 of them. You just know that. So while you might think you can rely on Cat, you can rely on Cat when he's out there. But tell me you can't see him having 3 fouls in the first half again, having to sit out for another 10 minutes in the second quarter, come back, maybe have 8-9 assists, but you look at the box score, he only played 28 minutes. That helps neutralize a big advantage that the Knicks could possibly have because he's an idiot on defense. This series is going to be simple. Who's a better basketball player in this series, in this city, home obviously for the Knicks, but also home for the Cavaliers? Donovan Mitchell is, in my opinion, a better basketball player than Jalen Brunson and a better, more consistent basketball player than Jalen Brunson. And if the Cavs are going to win the series, that is the only path they really have is for Donovan Mitchell to night after night, or at least 4 times in this series, to outplay Jalen Brunson. If that happens, the Cavs can win. If it doesn't, I see no path for the Cavs because you can't trust James Harden in the back half of the series. He can have a good game 1, he can have a good game 2, but he will not have a good game 6 or 7 because it's not in his DNA. And that's going to be a problem for the Cavaliers. Now, you notice I'm having to be a little bit more positive about the Knicks, and I have to be nostalgic as the Knicks perhaps return to the postseason. Well, let me tell you, if you're my age or Ethan's age, if you're young, you don't understand this. Pizza Hut used to be peak. Let me tell you something. There used to be a time when Pizza Hut was high society. When we were a good society, Pizza Hut was the greatest. Well, there's a man right now, as you can see right there, is restoring a Pizza Hut back to its old glory. Look at that beautiful salad bar. Yes, kids would sneeze. There was no sneeze guard there. You might get sick. Look at those red cups. I am telling you, if you like Sprite, and who doesn't, they taste better out of that red cup. Look at those breadsticks. Look at that. Who amongst us used to, those of us that read, because I know some of you didn't, when you would, at the end of the market period, you would get your certificate and go down to the Pizza Hut and get your personal pan pizza. That was the greatest thing ever. And I won't allow anybody to tell me that wasn't the peak of our society. And this great gentleman, as you can see on our screen right now, is restoring the Pizza Hut back to where it belongs. And I want to say that person is a patriot. I will happily buy that person a beer. Yes, you're right. Nay, he's a hero. That man is a hero. And if Pizza Hut, I hope this is greatly successful. And if Pizza Hut, if you're watching, first of all, we love your money. Okay, we love your money. You can go ahead and sponsor. You can go ahead and email me personally. I'll get you to the sales team because you should be joining this great team. And also, if you return Pizza Hut to old glory, you will become, once again, the top pizza chain in this great nation. There'll be no Little Caesars. There'll be no Domino's. Pizza Hut can stand alone again if they will just restore all that goodness we had when we were growing up. When you change that, that's when you open the door for all these other pizzas out there. They put sugar in the sauce. It's no good, okay? Pizza Hut, listen to me. This is the path to being the #1 chain once again. show. Tyrone Johnson in for Craig Carton. Congratulations to his son, Lucky. He will be back tomorrow. Lucky graduated college. It's fantastic. Very proud of him. Now, over the weekend, it was on a lot, and the basketball game ending the way it did, and there being kind of a free runway there. The Subway Series was already, the second game of the Subway Series was already done, so there was a runway for the MMA fight between Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. And listen, I watched that card, and I told people they should watch it because the UFC is problematic, and there wasn't a single good fight on the card. We can show people the result right there. You see that picture? That picture is as long as the fight. Ronda Rousey, arm bar, 17 seconds, and Ronda Rousey wins the undercard. And God, it was all knockouts. None of the fights were competitive. But during the walkout for Francis Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion, they decided to then jump on social media. Dana White did, and we'll get to him in just a moment, and announce the return of one Conor McGregor, a household name that people actually know. He'll be returning in July, not on the White House card, but he will be returning to the UFC. And then I'm sitting there going, so this is my choices. So Dana White has been on the tour. I know Craig interviewed him on the radio side, and I just have to say this right now. MMA stinks. Okay, I've tried. Okay? And I know a lot of you bros out there like it, and I'm not trying to yuck your yum. If you like it, you keep enjoying it. But the UFC stinks anymore. All the fighters are boring. None of them say anything interesting. And then the alternative cards are just as bad. I'm sorry, MMA. Yes, for boxing, yes, I might have to watch the guys over in they might be fighting in Saudi Arabia and all over the place. I recognize that. But I am telling you, boxing is way better than MMA anymore. Dana White has took a sport that everybody was looking to love because of the decline of boxing. And for a while there, he had everybody. They were killing it on pay-per-view. They were doing all these things, and now it stinks. The entire sport anymore stinks. And the fact that you got to take a guy out of mothballs, he's only been accused of 1,000 different crimes, none of them tax evasion, if you know what I'm talking about here, and bring him back, who's got no chance to be a real factor just because we know who it is. It speaks on the whole point of this. There is nothing left with the sport. Now imagine in our major four sports in America or in soccer where they all of a sudden had to get the ghost of Pele out to get people to watch it. That's what you're doing bringing back Conor McGregor, okay? Yes, you put Conor McGregor out there. People go, oh, I know who that is. Great. But this is not pushing the sport forward unless he gets knocked out by some champion. Go do the right thing, Conor. But I think they got him fighting some joke. No. Unfortunately, Muhammad Ali came back, and they fed him to Larry Holmes. And yeah, it wasn't becoming. If you go back and watch it, it's downright sad. There's a 30 for 30 on it. You can watch it. ESPN did a great job with it. But I'll tell you this flat out. That's the way it has to go because you got to make a new star. I'm going to say this right now. I'm one card away from quitting that sport. Okay, we have to watch a lot of sports here in order for us, the producers, everybody has to watch a lot of sports in order to do this job. And we're all fans of sports, okay? We got to watch our teams. Congratulations to the Mets for winning 2 or 3 in the Subway Series. Like, congratulations to you. Like, good work by them. We have to watch a lot of sports. You guys have to now tell me why the hell I should bother watching MMA anymore. Because if the UFC cards all stink, and they do, and the alternative card, which I was hoping would be good and maybe make it to where there's some competition to force them to actually put on good fights. Because there's not a damn good fight on that stupid White House card. Like, they might be good fights, but they're not exciting, get the fans excited fights. I'm done with the sport. Y'all got to fix this, okay? Dana White, you're most to blame. MMA stinks anymore, and this weekend was just the latest example of it. I can't have a 17-second main event out there. And I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say one more thing. Pro wrestling's better than MMA. At least if you have it scripted, you don't have what happened in that main event. The people all got on their feet. She rushed the girl, grabbed her arm. The girl didn't even roll towards the armbar. She rolled away from it. Looks like she took a dive. She gets $1.5 million to take the dive. Ronda reportedly gets $5 million for that 17 seconds of a fight. The sport stinks. So right now you have our major four. You have soccer. You got boxing. You got, I don't know, pickleball, tennis, all of that. And way down here off the screen anymore is MMA. The sport stinks anymore. And the number one culprit, hell, 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5 culprit is Dana White. MMA, get yourself together. All these young bros that love it at 20-something are going to hate it when they get to my age. Do better. Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson in for Craig. He'll be back tomorrow at his son's college graduation. And unfortunately, it got leaked a little early. SGA has won NBA MVP for the second consecutive year. You see Sham's tweet right there, which to me was just, I didn't like it, not because we didn't expect it. I didn't like it because why do it early? You do it later on today before game 1. He gets the award before game 2. Now I think they'll move everything up, maybe give it to him before game 1 to set the tone for the series. But SGA, which begins and continues really the international push of the game of basketball. And now we go back a long way. I think Harden was our last MVP. You had Embiid in there. You had Jokic in there. You had Giannis in there. And now you have SGA a couple of times. So clearly the international part of basketball has been strong. And we'll get to the Spurs OKC series in just a little while. They play at 8:40 Eastern tonight. The Knicks games seem like they're going to be earlier. The Western games a little bit later. Basically now we have basketball every day. West, East, back and forth, as long as both these series go, leading to the NBA Finals, which is great for everybody. You can watch every game, and I recognize for some of the working men and women out there to have to get up early, the 8:40 and the 8:10 starts are a little bit late, but they're better. Let me tell you right now, they're better than what the Finals games are going to be, so we can enjoy all of that. But it got me to thinking about something. To be honest with you, got me thinking about this international part, because in large part what's happening now with these guys, and we know that this is not going to stop. I mean, Wemby's right there. So I really think you got Cade Cunningham there was in the mix. You had Jaylen Brown, who will never win anything again. He was in the mix, but Luka was in the mix. I mean, it's an international game now. And we know with Luka and Wemby and others, this trend very well may continue. And it got me to thinking about the NFL before we get to the series a little bit in just a moment. It got me thinking about the NFL and their international push. Now, clearly, when the NBA began their push, they wanted, and it started with the Dream Team, really, and it came forward. Maybe it started in '88 when they realized that teams were playing, but basically the world's pros were playing against our college players, which brought the Dream Team in '92, and it brings it here. This is really the culmination of all that, to where you look at the NBA roster and the players could literally be from anywhere. They can be from the continent of Africa, South America. I mean, it's Australia. It's literally a global game now, and you're seeing this with the top players. And the NFL now is doing their international thing. But you see, in the NBA, and I was talking to producer Ethan and talking to Ryan before the show, and none of us are offended that, in Philadelphia, I can tell you this, there were a lot of people who hated Russian players, to the point where the Flyers did not get European players for decades, basically because they didn't like them, and it ended up being to their detriment. NBA, totally different. We're fine with Giannis winning MVPs. A Canadian winning MVP, no big deal. It doesn't even make us flinch. The NFL's a different game, though. It's our number one sport now. And as they push this out more and more, 9 international games. None of you asked for it, but we have 9 international games. At what point does the NFL get something other than money from it? You see, the NBA, in addition to the money, they started to import great basketball players, so it's no longer good enough to be the best player necessarily in America like it used to be. They want to get the best players in the world. Are we ever going to get to the point with this NFL expansion? We know hockey players are from all over, well, basically all over those countries. I don't think there's any players from like Africa or anything in that, but you get the point. I'm just pointing out a fact. Would you be totally fine with your quarterback being named Pierre or Jacques? If Luka was your starting wide receiver, would you care? Like, I do wonder with the NFL is, what is it other than money? Do they think they're going to start getting elite football players from places other than America? Because outside of here and there, the answer is hell no so far. Like, the Eagles have Jordan Mailata. He's an excellent starting left tackle for the Eagles. He's made Pro Bowls. He's won Super Bowls, the whole shebang. But by and large, all the players in American football come from America. So I want to know from the NFL for a moment here, and I really mean this. What's your goal with your international expansion? Now, it's worked better in the NFL than the NFL could have, in the NBA, rather, than they could have imagined, having this many great players from outside of America. So now in Canada, why wouldn't they watch the NBA nonstop? They get players from Slovenia and all over the world. Of course, you get people to watch it, but you also get players. Is the NFL's long-term plan to get players from other places, or is their long-term plan solely about money? Because I can tell you, if it's solely about money, it's not going to work. Nothing that's solely about money works out long-term. It can work out short-term. They're printing money. But it just got me to thinking, because would you be just totally okay with it if it wasn't Jackson Dart, but there was some dude from like Slovenia and you couldn't pronounce his name and he was your starting quarterback? Would it be, oh, I don't know, and he couldn't speak the language? Like, how would you handle that? It just got me to thinking, because we look at football different. We look at football almost like it's sacred. And it just got me to thinking about it. I need to know long term what the NFL's actual goal is with these international games. Is it just to make money, or to try to actually get players to play in the league from all over the place to grow the game? Because that's what the NBA did, and this is one of the few areas where baseball, basketball, and hockey are light years ahead of the NFL. Let's get back to this Thunder Spurs series for just a moment. Let's get back to this series for just a moment. This is a scary time right now, because OKC is a conventional, really good basketball team, and we've seen this. We've seen the Warriors, with and without Durant, win. We've seen the Jordan Bulls. We've seen players. We've seen LeBron get into the finals a million straight years. OKC, while very proficient in what they do, we've seen it before. The Spurs are scary, because they're not ready yet on paper, yet here they are. Okay, there is one rule, and I've talked about this on the show before. You can go back to the 50s and fast forward to now. The NBA has always been a man's league. And what I mean is not literally 18, is that 28-year-olds win championships far more than 20-year-olds, okay? Like, and you'll go, what about Magic Johnson when he jumped center as a rookie? Yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that year was league MVP. Norm Nixon was the point guard. They had Magic play off the ball. It was a man's league, and it always has been. If the Spurs are ready now, they could win forever. And that's scary because we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything like Wemby before. You take LeBron James, and I know some of you hate, but you were watching him in the damn finals every damn year on the strength of him, okay? Wemby's, because of his size, is just something different. If you talk Jordan physically, and then you go up to LeBron physically, you know LeBron is like that next level. Wemby's the next level evolution from this. If the Spurs are ready now, and they're 6.5 point underdogs tonight in game one. But if the Spurs are ready now, what stops them from winning as long as Wemby walks the earth? This should be scary for everybody. If you're a Knicks fan, a Sixers fan, an OKC fan, a Lakers fan alike, we all are now in this together. I'm not rooting against the Spurs. I actually happen to like Castle. I like Harper Jr. I like Wemby. I have no reason to root against them except for paralyzing fear. If they're ready, and Wemby is a baby right now, Wemby is not ready by NBA terms to be the lead dog for a championship. It took Michael Jordan, you take LeBron, you name it. It takes a long time to get ready. The playoff battles, the wars that you go through to get championship ready. I'll say it right now. If the Spurs are ready now, this could be the great, not could be. That's soft to say. It will be the best dynasty we've ever seen. And we've seen some dynasties. Why can't he end up like Bill Russell Wemby if this guy's already ready at 21 years old? If Wemby's ready at 21 years old, that means if he's winning at 21, you gonna tell me he's not still winning when he's 31, when every great player before him still did? This guy can win 10, 11 championships. He can win 5, 6 MVPs. This is a next level. So while I expect a good series, and OKC is properly and rightfully favored in the series, if the Spurs win, it's over for all of us. And there won't be a damn thing we can do about it. And that's very, very scary. to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson in for Craig Carton. Let me tell you. You know what? I'm just going to skip over. We'll get to it another day. So we started the show. I won't rehash with basically when interaction goes too far. Okay, between one human and another human. We know there's a line. Everybody's line might be slightly different, but we know when things go over the line. Well, Crow Armstrong is for the Cubs. Got told something that this is earth-shattering. I don't think you've ever heard it. Somebody tells him that he sucks. Now, if you're a pro athlete or a college athlete or a high school athlete, that's not one of those things that's considered over the line. It's not that big of a deal. The person talking to him doesn't use any profanity or anything. There's no physical threats. We know the things that go too far. And also, the person didn't throw anything. I don't care if it's popcorn or whatever. When someone's in the stands and anything of theirs goes onto the playing field, to me, out of line. So we have the video. And obviously it has to be bleeped here. But again, this is all brought on by a female fan telling him that he sucks. Nothing more to it, apparently. There's no more. I was trying to check. Maybe she said a bunch of stuff before the video started or something. Apparently this is it. And this is how this gentleman responds. Now he tells her to sock something. That's what she said, okay? To something, okay? It could have been a blow pop, a Tootsie Roll pop, a taffy, through a straw, whatever it might be, but he didn't use that, okay? Because of that. Now, here's the crazy part when it got posted online, and this is the thing where I'm wondering about our society as a whole. The vast majority of the people sided with the player. What? Listen, again, there are things that go over the line. Physical threats, a certain amount of profanity, especially if there's kids there, I think is over the line in my opinion. I don't want to go cursing a whole bunch of crazy stuff about somebody else's 6-year-old. That's not how I was raised. That's not how I roll, okay? But saying somebody sucks is not that big a deal when it comes to pro athletes who are making millions of dollars. He also, if I can be honest, so far this season, he does suck. He's not been good so far this year. Shut up and take it and play better. Are we now at the point where, for certain fans, that pro athletes now can't even get ripped? This is what we're doing after the stuff we've said about LeBron James this last decade? We're now at the point where we can't say anything about anybody, and people would side with the player over the fan? Like, just so you know, there's layers to this, right? Like, the owner's ultimately the enemy because they just take from you and give you nothing. And then the players, they provide the entertainment for you, but they're paid handsomely for it. The only one that basically always loses are the fans. Okay, the Cubs don't win enough historically to act like you should just be happy to watch them play. They've had one World Series in, 100 years? Like, most of the time. Hell, we're at the point with the Yankees, it's been, since 2009? Like, the owners get it or over everybody, okay? They do what they want, and we just show up, okay? They have it. Players, below the owners because they have to play, and they're the ones that provide all of the entertainment that we watch. But they're paid handsomely for it. The only people that lose all the time are the fans. And if we're at the point where the fans can't even give a slightly harsh opinion at games, then what the hell are we going for? Why are you paying all that money? It's $50 to park anymore before you get in the building. I mean, Ethan brought his son to a game. He had to drive because there was some train issues. I can only imagine how much money he spent that day to take one kid. That's what I'm saying, to take one kid to a game. And if you get frustrated, you can't even say, hey, man, you suck. If we're at that point, why should we bother going to sports anymore? If we just have to be polite to the players all the time, under every circumstance, and I'm not, again, we know what the line is. Physical threats and going onto the field. I already said, I'm even a person who believes too much profanity's out of the line. But you still have to give the fans something. And I just find it gross that we're at the point where people would side with the fans, side with the player over the fan. I just find that to be gross. OTAs today in the NFL, including the Steelers. They start today, a bunch of teams, and the Steelers now have, you can see it right there, Bills, Cardinals, Bills, yes, but Cardinals, Dolphins, Falcons, Raiders, Ravens is a real team, Steelers, Titans, so none of the good teams have OTAs today, but a bunch of teams do. And that includes Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. And I'm going to say this. The Steelers' existence right now and bringing back Aaron Rodgers is a gigantic mistake. You see, where the Steelers are right now is why tanking exists. The Steelers, and I'm sure if you're a Steelers fan out there, you appreciate that your team's going to be competitive in December every year, and you get to January, you're making the playoffs every year. But you know the Steelers, they know with Aaron Rodgers right now, unlike one of these kids, because they got some younger quarterbacks, including Drew Aller, who I don't know if he can play a lick. I don't believe he can, but let me tell you, I also didn't know a damn thing about Tom Brady. Now, there's only one Tom Brady, but whether it's Brock Purdy, there's a bunch of quarterbacks that we know nothing about that are going to find a way to be good in the NFL. That's happened historically. Obviously, the majority are the early picks, and we know that history. But there's quarterbacks out there who might be good. Instead, you go with a guy who at his age isn't good anymore. He's okay. He'll have passable numbers, but that's because he doesn't throw in the small windows anymore, and he puts a cap on your winning. The Steelers made a gigantic mistake bringing him back because this now puts him anywhere from 8-9 to 10-7. That's where they're at right now. And that's good enough to be competitive. It's good enough to sell tickets, and it's not good enough to win a Super Bowl. So right there, when I listed it on Friday, the Steelers have set themselves up to where they can't win a Super Bowl this year, and they're going to win too many games to get the quarterback they need to win the Super Bowl in immediate future years. And you're also going to limit the reps in practice because he's going to get the first-team reps, of course, with your younger quarterbacks who, even if it's a 1% chance, I'd rather have a 1% chance with Drew Aller even, who I don't believe can play, but at least let him play a game before I decide this, than go back with a 100-year-old fraud who the locker room doesn't like, who can't help you win. This was a mistake by the new coach. This is going to set this franchise back a couple of years. And I know every year they say, oh, it's a quarterback risk draft. Let me tell you, every year's a quarterback risk draft if you know what you're doing. And I no longer think the Steelers know what they're doing because Aaron Rodgers hurts them.
Go over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like that.
To test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Number one, who asked for this? Nobody, but nobody asked for a bump up in the number of teams in both the men and the women's basketball tournament from 68, including the 4 play-in teams, to 76. And by the way, it looks like it is a near-done deal. ESPN and ABC News reported this morning that it's very close to being done. It could be announced by the end of this week.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Craig will be back tomorrow with his son and his family for his college graduation. Let's get to some news and notes before we get out of here today. PGA Championship, long shot wins. His name is Aaron Rai. He wins the PGA Championship in the city of underdogs, in the city of Rocky, which if I could had a time machine and I could change one thing, I've thought about a lot of things. And there's probably some more important things I could change, but I swear I would have set Rocky in Boston so I can stop with the underdog stuff in Philadelphia. No, I don't want a good team that's the favorite. I want to be an underdog. No, you don't. No, you don't want to be an underdog. Apollo kicked Rocky's ass. Anyway, I wish that movie was set in Boston, but in the city of underdogs, it was cool to see him raise the trophy and obviously change his life. That part was pretty cool. Now, NFL players are really good athletes, okay? But they're really good at football, okay? Especially offensive linemen. They're very smart. Most times offensive linemen are the smartest players on the team, even smarter than the quarterbacks many times. But this video of a Texans guard is just maybe the greatest thing I've ever seen. He's getting ready. He's got his cap on. And look at him jump. Look at that dive. Look at the dive. Look at the dog who's sure that he's drowning as he swims back. He doesn't even make it to the end. And then he takes the goggles off. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Like, what does he call himself doing? Look at this dive. Gets himself. Big men doing things is funnier. I'm sorry. A big guy running is funnier than a small guy running. It just is. Like, now see, he wasn't aerodynamic enough. So here we go. The dog's very concerned. Terrible dive. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Another thing that I want to help everybody's self-esteem, okay? Because the world will beat you up. There'll be people just shooting shots at you from all sides, okay? Coming after you. You're not ugly, any of you. You're just poor. Can we start with the before and after for Tom Brady? There's a point to this, don't worry, but can we start with the before and after picture of Tom Brady? Now, that's Tom Brady as a rookie. Now, he was going bald 20 years ago. Suddenly, he still has a full head of hair. Look at that cheekbones. Look at the chin, the whole shebang. You're not ugly, any of you, okay? Even the ugly ones aren't ugly. You're just poor. All of this culminates with a guy who's tall, but otherwise you see genetically not athletic and ugly, walking a top flight runway. Can we see this? Look at Tom Brady walking, doing his Zoolander commercial, and then he's dressed like he's Eddie Murphy in all leather, walking for what's that, Gucci? Listen. Yeah, and walking for Gucci. Now, again, this should help all of you, okay? Because while you may not have gotten the genetic lottery, okay, you know you can hit the lottery, okay? So forget the genetic lottery. You just need to hit the regular lottery, and you'll be just fine. And then you, too, can be born ugly, get millions of dollars, get supermodel women, and then walk in the Gucci fashion show just like Tom Brady. All right, you should feel great about this. You should feel great about this. Now, there's another thing that has been on my mind so far with the whole sports world, and this has to do with baseball that I noticed. It seems like that's the only sport left because it's one game, where it's not just overrun nonstop with hot takes. And with it being over 90 degrees today, we're summer, okay? The unofficial start of summer, Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be terrible weather on the Northeast. It's going to be terrible when it's about like 50 degrees. But it's the only sport left. And I know some people out there have said that we should, baseball's too slow or whatever. I want to say something right now. We don't appreciate baseball enough because I've noticed something, and I want to get this in before the end of the show, that too often in sports, the success of the sport means something bad for the fans. The better the sport does, the more expensive it gets, and the less accessible it gets to you. Baseball's the only sport recently who made real moves to make things better for you. The pitch clock has been a great success. The games are quicker. They start the games earlier. Baseball right now, more than the NBA with 8:40 starts for certain playoff games. And more than the NHL, although the NHL have done some things. And more than the NFL, of course. Baseball actually is trying to do something good for the fan. And I think we have to appreciate that more because it took NFL to pass them for them to do it. And it really stinks that the better the sport gets, the worse it is for the customer. But baseball right now is the only one doing anything for the customer and not against the customer. I don't have to wake up at 9. On a Sunday, obviously I'm awake. I'm an adult, but I don't have to get in front of the TV at 9 in the morning to watch a game. They don't make the games go as long as they used to. They've done things for you. So in this world with NFL and everything going on, I just want to take a moment to appreciate Summer's Game baseball because it's the only sport left anymore that seems to even give a little bit of a damn about me and you. Appreciate everybody for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow.